ang taga-LGU. Masintabi, wala ko ituturong pangalan, si Mayor, si Chairman, lilista nila ang kanilang mga kaibigan, kamag-anak, kapitbahay.
Sabi ika nga nila, pagdating sa bigayan ng mga ayuda galing sa ating gobyerno, kapag hindi ka daw malakas kay Kapitan o kay Kagawad, ay tila hindi ka mapapasali o maililista sa mabibigyan ng ayuda. Kaya naman panoorin mo ang video na ito kung papaano ibinunyag ni Senator Rapi Tulfo ang gawain ng ibang mga kapitan, LGU, mayor sa pagbibigay ng ayuda na tila nagkakaroon ng palakasan system. Panoorin mo ang video na ito at ikaw na ang humusga.
Pumapasok ang korupsyon sa distribution po ng mga rice seeds and even sa tinatawag na abono o fertilizer. Ang taga-LGU, Masintabi, wala ko ituturong pangalan, si Mayor, si Chairman, lilista nila ang kanilang mga kaibigan, kamag-anak, kapitbahay kahit na wala namang sakahan para magkaroon ng allocation. And of course, dahil wala naman siyang farmland, ibibenta niya, pinagkakitaan niya. According to people from the Department of Agriculture, napopolitika po ito sa mga Municipal Agriculture Office kung saan si Mayor ang nagdidikta kung sino ang nasasama sa listahan. May mga lehitimong farmers na di nasasama at may mga nasasama naman na hindi tunay na rice farmers. Dapat, Mr. President, it's high time na matigil na po ito.
Isang pagpapatunay na kahit ang ating mga magsasaka ay tila na aapektuhan na ng ganitong bulok na sistema na nagkakaroon ng palakasan system. Kaya naman i-share mo na ang video na ito. Ikaw bilang isang Pilipino, ano ang masasabi mo sa pahayag ni Senator Rapi Tulfo na tila totoo nga bang nagkakaroon ng palakasan system sa pagbibigay ng mga ayuda sa ating mga barangay? Well, i-comment mo lang yung reaksyon sa video sa baba.
Ang taga-LGU, Masintabi, wala ko ituturong pangalan, si Mayor, si Chairman, lilista nila ang kanilang mga kaibigan, kamag-anak, kapitbahay kahit na wala namang sakahan para magkaroon ng allocation. Si Chairman, ililista ang pangalan niya para magkaroon siya ng allocation, and of course, dahil wala naman siyang farmland, ibibenta niya, pinagkakitaan niya. Makatapos mabenta, bibili ng gin. I stand here before you. The future for rice farming industry is in danger. And our farmers are losing up to 54 billion pesos because of existing policies. There are even reports from some farmers groups of farmers' debts allegedly linked to low palay prices. The clamor for the review of the rice tariffication law is more than just ripe. Malapit na pong mabulok. As of last week, Malacanang and the Department of Agriculture are pushing Congress to revisit the rice tariffication law or RTL and give more regulatory functions to the National Food Authority. But before we delve into the review of the RTL, let us go back to the why of the RTL. The rice tariffication law enacted in 2019 was a significant step toward liberalizing the rice industry in the Philippines. It aimed to stabilize rice prices and ensure food security by allowing the unrestricted importation of rice subject to tariffs. The RTL opened the floodgates to largely unregulated rice imports by private traders and stripped the NFA or its regulatory functions and confined its role to maintaining a buffer stock sourced from local palay. But of course, the RTL did not forget our local farmers because the tariffs collected from the imported rice were directed to what we call the Rice Competitive Enhancement Fund or RCEF, designed to help farmers modernize through mechanization, import subsidies, and financial assistance. In December 2024, the RTL was amended to extend RCEF funding until 2031 and triple its budget to 30 billion pesos. However, while the amendment authorized the DA to import rice in cases of food security emergency, it did not reinstate the NFA's full mandate to manage and stabilize the domestic rice market. So much work has been put into the enactment of the RTL. And while it had good intentions and ideas, something clearly went wrong along the way. Did our prices go down since its enactment? The answer is hindi po. The promise of lower rice prices to consumers has not been fully realized. While there have been periods of lower prices, of course, the overall impact on consumer prices has been mixed. Wholesale prices of rice types also showed significant increases in 2024, with regular milled rice experiencing the highest growth rate at 28.95%, rising from 36.48 pesos per kilogram in 2023 to 47.04 kilogram in 2024. Did our farmers' productivity improve? That's the big question. If titignan po ang overall performance, halos wala pong nagbago. The influx of imported rice has led to a significant drop in the farm gate prices to locally produced rice. Our farmers who rely on rice farming for their livelihood are struggling to compete with the cheaper imported rice. This has resulted in reduced income for our farmers and has threatened their ability to sustain their farming operations. Kaya naman po, imbis na dumami ang local production, tumaas lang po ang importation natin. In fact, Philippine rice imports are projected to hit a record high of 5.5 million metric tons in 2026, exceeding the highest rice import volume of 4.8 million metric tons recorded in 2024. This will maintain the country's ranking as the world's biggest rice importer of this household staple. It is sad to see us in this situation when we once thrived in our own rice fields, even exporting to other nations many years ago. This is based on the estimate of the U.S. Department of Agriculture Foreign Agricultural Service. We must review the wisdom behind the lifting of the quantitative restriction on rice imports. Because without the NFA's involvement in rice procurement, traders face no real competition, enabling them to drive down farm gate prices and control market rates. Mr. President, after more than 5 years, our rice farmers by now should have felt the effects of the RCEP. Pero wala. Umaalma pa rin po ang ating mga pobreng mga magsasaka. Isa po sa paulit-ulit na nakakarating sa akin ay ang problema sa pamimigay ng rice seeds. Ang pagtakda ng RTL na dapat ay inbred rice seed lamang ang pwedeng i-distribute ay nagiging problema dahil nalilimita ang pagbigay ng ibang mas mahusay na rice seeds tulad ng hybrid rice seeds. Ang hybrid rice seeds ay mas ginagamit sa ibang bansa dahil ang production quality and quantity ay mas mahusay at mas marami. Totoo, may mga lugar tulad ng mga di maayos ang irrigation na mas mainam ang inbred seeds. Pero dapat pwede rin makapag-distribute ng hybrid gamit ang RCEP. Ulitin ko po, dahil po sa RTL, inbred lamang po ang pwedeng ipamigay at hindi po pwede ang hybrid. Ang nangyayari kasi, Mr. President, kapag hindi maganda ang nabibigay na seeds, ano pong ginagawa ng mga farmer? Hindi na gusto yung inbred seeds na binibigay sa kanila. Ibinebenta po nila ito at yung kinita nila sa pagbebenta, ibinibili nila ng hybrid seeds. It doesn't make sense. Bakit nagkaganon, Mr. President? Isa pang problema nila yung timing ng mga distribution. Dahil dumadaan pa sa napakaraming layers ang pagbili ng mga seeds at fertilizers, hindi ito napapamigay sa tamang panahon ng planting season para umabot sa harvesting season. Nasasayang ang RCEP budget na 3 billion pesos para sa seeds kada taon. Kaya naman, mas ginugusto na lang ng ating mga farmers ang cash allotment para sila na mismo ang bibili ng kanilang mga seeds at fertilizer. Kasi mas alam nila kung ano ang dapat na itanim sa kanilang mga sakahan. Kailangan natin malaman kung may paraan ba para maayos itong problema sa kabagalan ng procurement at pag-distribute ng mga seeds at farm mechanization support. Adugtong ko lang din, Mr. President, dito pumapasok ang korupsyon sa distribution po ng mga rice seeds and even sa tinatawag na abono o fertilizer. Ang taga LGU, pasintabi, wala ko ituturong pangalan, si mayor, si chairman, ililista nila ang kanilang mga kaibigan, kamag-anak, kapitbahay kahit na wala namang sakahan para magkaroon ng allocation. Si chairman, ililista ang pangalan niya para magkaroon siya ng allocation, and of course, dahil wala naman siyang farmland, ibibenta niya. Pinagkakitaan niya. Makatapos mabenta, bibili ng gin. According to people from the Department of Agriculture, napopolitika po ito sa mga Municipal Agriculture Office kung saan si Mayor ang nagdidikta kung sino ang nasasama sa listahan. May mga legitimong farmers na di nasasama at may mga nasasama naman na hindi tunay na rice farmers. Dapat, Mr. President, it's high time na matigil na po ito. Sa ngayon, meron namang mekanismo ang DA para dumiretso sa kanilang regional office para makapagrehistro sa RSBA. Baka dapat tanggalin na sa mga mayor ang kapangyarihan na magrehistro ng RSBSA. We also have to ensure that there are physical verification of applicants to the RSBSA para siguraduhin na tunay na nagsasaka sila sa kanilang mga lugar. Dapat dinlinisin ito kung may mga dumudoble na registration. Ayon sa ilang reports na nakakarating sa amin, ang ilan ay pinarerenta ang lupa nila at ang tenant ay nakaregister muli sa RSBSA, kaya lumalabas na dalawa ang nakaregister para sa isang lupain. At paano kung naibenta na o namatay ang farmer na may-ari ng lupa? May paraan ba para malaman kung dapat natanggalin sa registry? The DA must have access to other government data from the DSWD or PSA so that it is easier for them to verify and clean their list. At ang huling hinaing ko po sa aking na mga farmers ay ang kakulangan ng dryer facility para sa mga palay. Ito po ang paulit-ulit na hiling ng mga farmers po sa akin. Nung umuwi ako kamakailan lang sa Isabela, nagtutuyo pa rin po o nagbibilid pa rin po ang mga magsasaka sa kahabaan ng highway. Anong nangyari sa RCEP budget every single year na billions and billions of pesos at kasama po dapat doon ang pag-subsidize sa dryer. At bakit marami pa rin po mga farmers na pinatutuyo o binibilad ang kanilang palay sa mga kalsada, sa mga highway. At ano pong nangyari sa mga trading provided ng RCEP sa pamamagitan ng mga farm schools? We have 10% of RCEP for training or about 1 billion pesos. 1 billion pesos. But at present, there are reports that Filipino farmers are a dying breed. Yung farmers, young farmers do not see farming as a way to sustain their families. Umaayaw na po ang mga next generation farmers. What has this training done for these young farmers? In response to these challenges, farmer groups have proposed several solutions. They advocate for the establishment of a rice price stabilization fund to support support farmers during periods of low prices. They also call for the implementation of stricter import regulations and quality control measures to ensure that imported rice meets the same standards as locally produced rice. Additionally, they emphasize the need for increased investment in agricultural infrastructure, research and development to enhance the productivity and competitiveness of local rice farmers. On the other hand, President Bongo Marcos to the Department of Agriculture, Secretary Francisco Chu Laurel has been calling for stronger regulatory powers to the NFA so that it can intervene in the market by releasing and selling rice stocks to the public. But we have to put safeguards so that the decision makers will not abuse their authority in favor of a few sectors. Finally, we need transparency and participation of all the sectors in decision-making process. To support this policy shift, House Speaker Martin Romualdez has filed House Bill Number 1 or the RISE Act. The bill aims to restore the National Food Authority's regulatory powers authorize the DA to restrict imports, particularly during harvest season, and allow the government to set a floor price for palay. And there are several resolutions in the Senate seeking the review of the RTL, including those filed by Senator Erwin Tulfo and Agriculture, Food and Agrarian Reform Committee Chair Senator Francis Pangilinan. Mr. President, politics aside, everyone has good intentions for our dear rice farmers and our rice farming industry. I hope that we can all work together in championing the welfare and livelihood of our farmers. As representatives, we are supposed to make policies for the people, and let us get out of our bubble and put ourselves in this situation. In conclusion, it is clear that revision are necessary to address its shortcomings. We must strike a balance between liberalizing the rice market and protecting the interests of our local farmers. Maraming salamat po, Mr. President.